Hello students, welcome back to my session. Today I would like to discuss Dilip Chitre's one of the famous poems, that is Father Returning Home. Students, first of all let us see some of the biographical details of Dilip Chitre. Dilip Purushottam Chitre was born on 17th of September 1938 in Baroda. He was the foremost Indian poet, critic, painter, and filmmaker of the modern era. He wrote poems both in English and Marathi, and so is often called as a bilingual poet. His Says Tuka is the most famous translation of the 17th century Marathi Bhakti poet Tukaram. He has also translated Dhaneshwar's Anubhavamrut into English. He was an honorary editor of the quarterly, that is New Quest. His poem Father Returning Home is somewhat autobiographical in mood. Let us now discuss the poem in detail. The present poem explores man's estrangement from a man-made world. It is a very heart-touching poem as it narrates the loneliness and helplessness of the father. The poem is full of gloomy and pessimistic atmosphere. The present poem is a dramatic monologue. It is about the poet's father, that is Purushottam Chitre, who struggled hard for the betterment of the family. It shows that life is not an easy task. The poem revolves around themes like alienation, rootlessness, isolation, cultural identity, old age, generation gap, and the future of the individual in the modern city. Let us read the poem. My father travels on the late evening train, standing among silent commuters in the yellow light. Suburbs slide past his unseeing eyes. His shirt and pants are soggy and his black raincoat, stained with mud, and his bag stuffed with books, is falling apart. His eyes, dimmed by age, fade homeward through the humid monsoon night. Now I can see him getting off the train like a word dropped from a long sentence. He hurries across the length of the grey platform, crosses the railway line, enters the lane. His chappals are sticky with mud, but he hurries onward. Home again, I see him drinking weak tea, eating a stale chapati, reading a book. He goes into the toilet to contemplate man's estrangement from a man-made world. Coming out, he trembles at the sink, the cold water running over his brown hands. A few droplets cling to the graying hairs on his wrist. His sullen children have often refused to share jokes and secrets with him. He will now go to sleep, listening to the static on the radio, dreaming of his ancestors and grandchildren, thinking of nomads entering a subcontinent through a narrow pass. Okay, this is the poem written in a very simple language. As we read the poem, we get that the narrator here is talking about his father. And if we go through the biographical details of Dilip Chitre, then we realize that here Dilip Chitre is talking about his own father, Purushottam Chitre. When they migrated from Baroda to Mumbai, in 1957, poet's father suffered a lot and struggled a lot for the betterment of his family and to settle down in a new dream city. And thus, the present poem is an autobiographical where the poet shows the loneliness and world weariness of an old man in the modern society by depicting a picture of his own father. It is most famous poem written by the Indian poet. Okay, and the poem is an expression of the poet's feelings for his father. It is written in a free verse that there is no rhyme scheme and no dominant meter as well. It is a composition of 24 lines into 2 stanzas. The tone of the poem is little disturbing and bleak. Let us try to understand line by line the poem. See, my father travels on the late evening train, standing among silent commuters in the yellow light. The poem opens with a first person narration, and here the narrator is talking about his father. He is giving us picture of his father who is traveling on the late evening train. Okay, and he is among the silent commuters. Commuters means the people who travel for daily work. Okay, so he is among them. He is one of them who daily travel for job purpose. Okay, and in the yellow lights means here we get the atmosphere. It's not bright one. This yellow light signifies that dullness. Okay, so it's not that much pleasing one. It indicates dullness of life. Okay, suburbs slide past his unseeing eyes, so he is unknown to the outside sights which are passing away, and he is not paying attention to the sights as it is a daily route, and the sights are not new to the father, and so he does not pay attention to the outside scenery. He is just among the commuters waiting to come his stop. Okay, his shirt and pants are soggy, and his black raincoat stained with mud, and his bag stuffed with books. See the picture of his father. His shirt and pants are soggy. Soggy means very wet and soft, and which is unpleasant. Okay, so his dress is soggy and his black raincoat stained with mud, and it indicates that the picture of the father which is portrayed here in the poem is of rainy season, as his black raincoat is stained with mud. Okay, and his bag stuffed with books. It indicates that though his attire is not that much pleasant one, he is having books. Okay, his bag is filled with his bag is filled with books, and that indicates that the father is working somewhere where they use books. Here we get the idea that the narrator's father is working as an editor, and so he is carrying so many books with him, and it also indicates that he belongs to the philosophical strata or intellectual strata of the society, but nobody cares for him. Okay, so let us see. His bag stuffed with books is falling apart. It is full of books. It seems that the books may fall any time. Okay, so he is carrying so many books with him. His eyes, dimmed by age, fade homeward through the humid monsoon night, and his eyes are waiting. His eyes dimmed by age. He is a old person. Here we get that idea. He is an old person whose eyes dimmed. No, he is not having that much clear eyesight because of his old age. Okay, and he is looking forward to reach home, and through the humid monsoon night. It's a time of evening, it's almost night time, and it's a monsoon season. Okay, so through that humid atmosphere he's looking forward to reach at his home. Okay, say next. Now I can see him getting off the train like a word dropped from a long sentence. Poet describes, this is the famous line, and a poet here describes his father's getting off the train like a word dropped from a long sentence. है ना? As we drop a word which is not that much important in the sentence. So if we even drop such a word from a long sentence, then it will not harm to the meaning of the sentence. Okay, and so his position is like that insignificant word, okay, which we may drop if we want. So he compares his father's getting off the train with the word which we may draw from a long sentence without harming the meaning of the sentence. So it indicates the meaninglessness of the father's life. Are you getting it? Next line, he hurries across the length of the grave platform, crosses the railway line, enters the lane. His chappals are sticky with mud, but he hurries onward. And how he reaches to home, it is also not that much pleasant one. He hurries across the length of the grave platform. He is in hurry. He is trying to reach to his home. That is his everyday work, and he hurries and he crosses the railway line. Then he enters into that lane where they reside, and now the poet or the narrator observes that his chappals are also sticky with mud as it is a rainy season, but he does not care about all these things as he wants to reach the home. Okay, and so he hurries onward. Home again, I see him drinking weak tea, eating a stale chapati, reading a book. At home, again, poet or the narrator observes that he is not getting that much good treatment at home even, as he is not that much important for the family members. Though he works for the family, though he struggles for the family, nobody cares for him, and so he drinks weak tea and eats a stale chapati, and then he engages himself to read a book. Okay, see the next line. He goes into the toilet to contemplate man's estrangement from a man-made world. Okay, this is important one. He goes into the toilet to contemplate. To contemplate means to think. Okay, so the toilet is a private place where he may get the privacy to contemplate, to think seriously about man's estrangement from a man-made world. What does he think? He thinks about man's estrangement, means man's alienation, man's loneliness from, or man's separation from man-made world itself. Means the world is created by man, it's man-made world, society is man-made, but in the society man is separated from other people. So that is the man's estrangement from a man-made world, and he seriously thinks about this. Okay, coming out he trembles at the sink, the cold water running over his brown hands, a few droplets cling to the graying hairs on his wrist. See, it shows that weakness of the father coming out. He trembles at the sink. He is not, as he is old person, he is not that much strong to sort out the things as he wants, and so he has to accept the things as coming to his way. Okay, the cold water running over his brown hands, a few droplets cling to the graying hairs on his wrist. It shows the narrator's minute observation of each and every activity of the father. Okay, and it shows graying hairs on his wrist. It again indicates that he is a very old person, but still he works for his family. Okay, his sullen children have often refused to share jokes and secrets with him. He will now go to sleep listening to the static on the radio, dreaming of his ancestors and grandchildren, thinking of nomads entering a subcontinent through a narrow pass. Okay, his own children even rejected or even refused to share uh, their jokes and secrets with the father. Okay, so sullen children, sullen means bad tempered, means even the children also are not that much cheerful or sociable, as the children, as his own children refuse to share their secrets with father. Okay, and so he will now go to sleep listening to static on the radio and dreaming of his ancestors and grandchildren. Now he goes to sleep, he goes to bed, he listens the static music on the radio, and he dreams of his ancestors and grandchildren. Okay, so you know that static means lacking in movement or action or change. So it is again having no variety, it's the same, it's a boring task right now. So it does not have any change, it's a routine task. And so uh, it again indicates boredom of father's life, listening to the static on the radio, dreaming of his ancestors and grandchildren. He dreams about his ancestors, and even he dreams about his grandchildren, thinking of nomads entering a subcontinent through a narrow pass. Means here he is um, even thinking about irrelevant things which are not important for his life. Okay, and it shows the meaninglessness of the father's life. Are you getting it? I try to explain the line by line meaning of the poem. Okay, so this is the poem written in a very simple words. I hope you understood it. Wish you all the best for your study.